everyone, Mistress Komakino here. I have been working on this video for quite a long time, trying to get different questions from everybody, you know, just different things that you guys might want to know about me. Obviously, as you know, I am the real deal. I am a working dominatrix here in London, and I thought with the TV program coming out next week, it would give you guys an opportunity to get to know me, to introduce people who don't know me, who have just seen me for the first time and are probably very intrigued by what I do. Well, believe it or not, when I grew up in Toronto, my primary school, which was the only French primary school in the city, was right across the street from a strip club. And I remember our schoolyard game was, you know, what's the sign going to be for the day, what stripper's going to be advertised, and, you know, what teacher would end up in the strip club for the lunch special. So that always kind of intrigued me. And then one day, I remember I looked up and I saw my name on the billboard. And it said, blah, 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 Mistress of Leather and Lace. And I was like, oh my god, I'm famous, look everybody, there's my name, you know, obviously this is my destiny. But I didn't obviously really know what it was about, you know, what this woman was doing, and it was just always in the back of my mind. Fast forward a few years, my father, who was a photographer, started photographing fetish parties within the city, and so my parents became friends with a dominatrix. I don't remember her name. I don't know if she's still working at this point, but she was beautiful. There is this photograph of her sat at like this beautiful dressing table, and she had like this spider brooch in her hair, and she just had this long black luscious hair that just went down to her waist. And I remember looking at her, again, not really understanding why I was attracted to her, why I thought she was amazing. I just thought she was just absolutely incredible and stunning. And so I always had that photograph, again, in the back of my mind. I guess subconsciously always dreamed of being as glamorous and wonderful as she was. When I turned 18, I was in New York City, and my friend had suggested to me camming. I had no idea what it was, obviously just becoming of age. It wasn't something that I was very familiar with, but I decided to try it. So we would have some fun. You know, it's a good way to make extra money. Obviously, New York is very expensive, and over the time, I think within about a year of that, people started asking me, would I do domination sessions? That really wasn't what I was doing at the time, but I guess because of the way I dressed, you know, with my red lips and my hair and my jewelry, everybody saw me as very glamorous, and they saw me as this very alluring, dominant woman. So I started reading up about it, and I started learning about it, and it just came very naturally to me. I've always been very dominant and very strong and mysterious, and so a lot of who I am naturally kind of played into this character that I started doing online. And eventually, I think over the years now, gosh, how many years now? Yeah, 9 or 10 years now. It's not an act, it's just who I am. The same person who I am online is the same person who I am offline. I just believe that if I were to put on this facade, it wouldn't be genuine. I don't believe in having a slave message me for a session and I'm like, what do you want to do? Make it quick. Don't bother me. Rah, rah, rah. You know, somebody's trusting me with their deepest, darkest secrets. They want to get to know somebody who's going to listen to them and who's going to understand them. So it is very important that I don't believe in being an asshole right away and putting on this act, because why would somebody trust you with their deepest, darkest secrets? Why would somebody trust you with their money that they've saved for probably a really long time to have this session, to have this moment with somebody else where they can live out their dreams, and to have the person just not care, you know, not care about preparing everything properly, not care about their limits or what they want to do, and to just be shooed off right away. You know, you want to put that trust in that other person and know that with what you're spending this money on and what you're paying is going to be worth it at the end of the day. I know it sounds ridiculous, and I know the whole findom thing online, it's like, you know, your money belongs to me, but at the end of the day, you're still providing a service. I love what I do. It doesn't feel like work. I'm really lucky that I can wake up every day and do my sessions and do all my stuff online, and 12 hours go by and I don't even realize it. And it's nice. It does make me very, very fortunate compared to a lot of people my age, and I will never take it for granted. Done this for about 9 or 10 years. I started online originally and did it through a bunch of canning websites. So I wasn't serious. It was more just like a side thing that I would do for fun. And then over the last maybe 3 or 4 years, when I started doing it in real time, that's when I really took it seriously, started doing it full time, and haven't looked back. So before this, I actually used to own my own PR and marketing company. I would be hired as a consultant with different brands. If they were struggling or didn't know what their customer base was, I would come in and help them kind of revamp the brand, go over their marketing strategy, try and make them as much money as possible, and help them with whatever else they needed. But it was very hard, and at the time that I left doing it, I had kind of just had enough of it. It's weird having left fashion because everybody was just a complete asshole to go and be a professional bitch, but at the end of the day, I couldn't deal with seeing all these interns being taken advantage of and being made to cook their boss's husband dinner because that's a part of the internship, and them being told and led on for years that they were going to be paid next season and they never were. So that was a big problem for me. I didn't like seeing these people get taken advantage of to live their dream of being in fashion when it really isn't as glamorous as it's made out to be. Although the fashion shows and the parties are wonderful, at the end of the day, if you come home every day and you're miserable and stressed out and panicking because if somebody else is fucked up and you're getting all the blame, it's not fair. That's not a fulfilling career. So there were a couple of circumstances in my life at the time that made me just say, you know what, fuck fashion, I'm going to do this full time, this is what I want to do, and to be honest, I would never look back. So I mainly session from my flat here in Primrose Hill. It is not the biggest flat in the world, but most people prefer sessioning in a domestic setting, and that's why I've kind of kept it here. There are plenty of dungeons in and around central North London that you can book very easily. And I do session in those dungeons as well. But for the most part, people just want to come and be in a space where they feel comfortable, and it's not always a space with cages and chains and whips and St. Andrew's crosses. Sometimes it's just a simple home setting. Personally, I kind of like the realistic sense of it. When you're in a setting that is just like an everyday living room, it adds another dimension to the domination. Main fetishes that I specialize in, I do a lot of smoking fetish stuff, I do a lot of sissy play, so dressing up, anal training, oral training, slut training. I love dressing up sissies. I have the full works: wigs, makeup, nails, eyelashes, shoes, stockings, dresses. I love all that, so that's why I've been working on my sissy program a lot. I also do a lot of ball busting, a lot of humiliation. I love psychological torment, so stuff like sensory deprivation and really getting into somebody's head and just breaking them is what I love to do. So I'm more cerebral than I am just full-on punishment. I like to play with the silence in a session, so I'm not going to be yelling and screaming and shouting all the time, but it's that awkward silence that adds to the tension of a situation that makes it that much more intense. So I also do anything from sploshing, I've done wrestling, I've even done some pretty extreme medical stuff, which there's very few slaves I actually will do that because you need time to get to know them before you start shoving needles in them, but it is something that I do. Anything from strap-on play, water sports, bondage, forced intox is also really fun. As you can tell, I love dressing up. I won't always dress up in like a full PVC bodysuit or leather or corsets or knee-high boots, but I have my own style, and I think because of my fashion background and my love of haute couture and fancy clothing and just being, impeccably put together, I dress the way I do, and I like to be comfortable in sessions. So, whatever I feel like wearing that day, I can make some alterations, but I like to keep it relaxed and elegant. I try to keep it a bit more of like a mysterious sexiness. I don't believe in having your tits on show and doing the full like blonde bombshell, stripper kind of look. I much prefer being elegant. and, you know, showing a bit of shoulder, showing a bit of, you know, décolletage, and not just full on being like, here I am, look at me, you know. It's a lot more fun and it's a lot more sexy when you just give a little bit at a time. And that's what I've always been about, is more like the burlesque dancer, you know, with the fans showing little parts of the body, not just like, here I am, look at me world. So yeah, that's more my style. I try and keep it very elegant. You know, I love my long nails and my red lips and, you know, my eye makeup that's very seductive, and just looking into a slave's eyes sometimes is enough to make them come in their pants like that. So that's what I'm about. I do travel around the country as well. I've traveled far north, far south. I've gone everywhere in the UK to do sessions, and I'm pretty open with it. As long as my schedule allows for it, I will do my best to accommodate. I usually stay in London, and again, I have no problem doing out calls. I usually say for out calls it's a minimum of 2 hours, just because for some places it's extraordinarily difficult to get to, or it's quite a long train ride, and I just, if I'm going to be spending an hour and a half, 2 hours traveling somewhere, I want to make sure that at least it's going to be worth it for me, and I don't want to, you know, overcharge somebody just for the sake of travel. So I try and make sure that, you know, we can do a substantial session if I do end up going and doing out calls. But for the most part, people just come to see me, and I have people all over the UK who come down to see me, and I love it. If you're new to it, I would not be scared. You know, there's a first time for everything. I have a lot of subs that come up to me and say that this is their first time, and I have nothing against somebody being a beginner. Everybody needs to start from somewhere, but be respectful. As long as you're respectful, I will treat you no differently than other slaves or subs, and I will be more than happy to teach you and spend time with you to make sure that your session is as great as it can be. Obviously, there are certain limits with a first-time session. You know, I have a lot of people that ask me for strap-on play right away, and I ask them, have they done it before? And they tell me, oh, you know, no, not really. You need to train your body to take things, you know, get a few toys, play with yourself at home, you know, try a few smaller things that you can insert, and then work your way up to a strap-on, because people forget there are real-life implications to this, and you can be injured very, very badly if you don't play safe. And this goes back to the video I did a few weeks ago where I spoke about communicating with your mistress and making sure that you tell them everything they need to know, and it's their responsibility to use that information and make a safe, consensual, fun, incredible session. So don't forget, it's your job as well to let people know what your limits are. It's very important. Of course I do couples, just like in the documentary that's coming out next week. I spoke a lot about different couples that would come see me, different ways to keep, you know, the marriage alive, keep the spice going. So yeah, I do have a lot of couples that do come see me who are complete beginners, who just want to have a nice evening for their anniversary or just a romantic night, and they want to get to know each other a little bit better. So I come in and I teach them how to play with each other and how to feed off each other's energy and really show what that dom-sub dynamic is all about. And once you show a couple how to do that, it really opens up so many doors with what they can do in the bedroom. And I don't know, maybe for some people it will save their marriage, for some people it's just a bit of fun, but I fully encourage opening people's minds up to the world of BDSM and showing them how to play safely and consensually at home. If you have seen the documentary and you are curious about it, don't hesitate to give me an email. I'm not going to be this horrible, scary person. I will have an open, frank discussion with you about what you're looking for and what you're trying to do. Anyhow, that is it, my slaves. I will see you soon. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like this video, because that shows me that you like what I'm doing, and I will continue doing it for as long as people enjoy it. All my social media stuff is below, and if you like it, subscribe. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you have any more questions, just leave a comment below and I will answer them in another video.